Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I want to talk about an important subject today, and that's medical health insurance for the Philippines. There might be some surprising facts you're not aware of, how you can protect yourself, some issues. I've had some personal experience with this, so I want to share these with you just to have you get better prepared. Now, I don't really bring this up in my budget videos so much. I do believe this actually requires its own separate video on it because it varies on different categories for what kind of coverage you already may have. So anyway, in this video, I want to break that down, some of the things you can do to protect yourselves, and also another key factor you might want to consider as well when you're considering health, overall health, what to put money aside for, some of the things that you can look for, and experiences what the hospitals are actually even like. Are they scary? You know, people put all this thing, oh, it's a third world country, which is really not. It's a developing country, but in any case, so I want to share all these topics with you today. I'm just going to go through a brief little introduction and we'll get right into it.
Pack your bags, let's hit the road. In the Philippines where adventures unfold, with Brian's life compass we'll lot our way. Guiding true, traveling just me and you. Join the journey, it's adventure time.
I've been going back and forth for about coming up on 8 years now. I ended up in the hospital for 4 days. I've had some other blood tests done on previous times and so on and so forth. So I'll share those experiences with you in a little moment. But I kind of want to break down why I don't share this in my budget video so much, because everybody is a little bit different depending what kind of age bracket you're in. Are you only coming part-time? Do you have your coverage on your own from your own country? Maybe you have a union job. There's a lot of variables that you have to do your due diligence on for yourself. But having said all of that, there's something that's kind of surprising, because I've had and I have extra medical insurance when I go to the Philippines. But I'm going to be right up front. It's pretty much useless. When I say useless, it's useless to count on for an emergency at the moment, okay? And how and why I say that is because they don't accept it. I have Blue Cross, and that's it's a good company, and they just don't even look at it. They don't accept it. Okay, so you have to pay out of pocket. You have to pay before you're allowed to leave the hospital. Now, this is an interesting fact that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, but maybe a lot of you are not. And this video is all these videos that I do is for helping you get information about that. So if you have the assumption, you know, you've bought some kind of coverage, you're good to go, and away you go, and then all of a sudden you end up in the hospital and you have no extra money and no means of getting it, you're going to run into probably a bit of a difficult moment to get past that, okay? I personally had to use my credit card. They didn't accept it. And then I filed with my private insurance company and so on and so forth. So it's not useless in the sense you're not going to get your money back. But like I said, if you have no extra way of paying it, it can leave you in a little bit of conundrum. Now, the other thing I want to really break through is the cost of these expenses. I had a comment there that somebody got into an accident and they spent, like, you know, thousands of dollars or whatever a day or so. I forget the actual quote, but it was pretty significant. And I literally spent 4 days in the hospital. I got bitten by a mosquito, and it came down with, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, the dengue, however you pronounce it. And I want to break down the bill for you as well, because there's a few things that are just amazing. A couple tricks I want to share with you as well. So if you end up in the hospital and you got to stay, the whole system is different that you're probably used to, okay? Everything is billed individually, and trust me, they added up. It took 5 hours for them to create my bill. Okay, I actually thought I'm gonna have to pay for another day because I got checked in at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I read like at 6 o'clock in the morning when I had my blood test. My plates were going up. I said, I'm out of here. It took a few hours to get the doctor, and blah 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 blah. In any case, it took a long time. It was a small novel when it comes out. Okay. So, for example, they come and take your pulse. They do any kind of thing in the room. It's a bill. It's a bill. So your own thermometer. Like I brought my own thermometer. I could take my own temperature and mark it down. That saved money. I believe it or not. Okay. Prescriptions. When they write you a prescription, they're going to charge you to take that prescription and get it filled. okay? And those prescriptions are more money in the hospital. You can literally, in most cases, just outside the hospital, go to a different pharmacy and save yourself a significant amount. Now, this is not going to be applicable to a lot of people that are in serious trouble, and more importantly, they may not have no help, they may be bedridden, all this kind of stuff. So all this is kind of useless for that. These are just little things I thought I'd share with you because that is the reality, okay? Every little detail is itemized, and this is why it takes so long to make the bill. Okay, they just write it all down and they give you this novel at the end. Okay, but what I want to cover on this is how important it is to have your medical insurance. Okay, if you're getting older on the years and you've got conditions that you need maintaining and all this kind of stuff, it's all like, I personally advise trying to get some kind of coverage or having a nest egg for that. A lot of people argue the basis, don't pay for the insurance, but have a budget set aside. Put down $100 a month or something like that, or at least $50 a month aside, depending how much of a bank account you've got saved up, kind of thing. So these are all things that, I could do a 20-hour video on this, trying to break down all the different scenarios for that. You've got to have a little bit of due diligence, what you have coverage on and so forth, and knowing your own existence here for health conditions, right? But I do want to go into what the hospitals are like. Now, in remote areas, it is a little dicey, a little scary, because it's not that they're lacking the capabilities. It's just the fact that they're lacking funding for proper machines or equipment in many cases, okay? Then we're talking about a distance, how long it can take you to get to a hospital. That's an issue as well. Those are a little bit concerning issues, okay? And there's no coverage, like, again, your private insurance you're paying for this out of pocket, and then your private insurance, you'd have to try and get a reimbursement. So those are all little things. Don't think it's all going to be smooth and easy and simple. Having said that, again, my personal experience in Dumaguete, for example, I go to Ace Hospital. I have to go there for an eye specialist. I had some eye issues and stuff like that. Phenomenal. And they take the time. He was asking the right questions. He was asking if I could have access to the paperwork. So this is another difference, okay? When you are paying here in the Philippines, you get all the paperwork with it. So you have your own personal record. For example, in Canada, I can't get those files. I don't even know what's on them. So, and he was asking, like, have you had these certain tests done and all this kind of stuff? Because then he could have compared and all these things. So what I'm getting at is these doctors are efficient, okay? They're great, and they don't just rush you out the door, and it's cost effective. Like, I go there, I had my eye pressure test, I do that. It takes this time. You don't feel rushed, okay? And it's 700 pesos for the eye exam, and he does it properly. He actually dilutes it a little bit so I can proper pressure instead of just the air pressure, and so on and so forth. I did another scenario where I had to get my full blood work done, and it was a few years ago now, but at that time it was 3,000 pesos, and I tell you, man, I got to see the cardiologist specialist that day to break down what the paperwork said. I got all my bloods done, results, every little detail, and cholesterol and kidneys and everything was explained, and that day, I'm not waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for this result. Now, my 4-day stint in the hospital, that ended up costing me a little over 40,000 pesos, okay? But for 4 days, and they were taking blood I think it was every 6 hours or something like that. It was really low. It was really concerning, actually. It was a brutal one. It took a lot of energy out of me. It was pretty brutal. So for 4 days, and going back in, I got an ultrasound done. I had a whole bunch of different tests done as well, and they had blood on the side ready to do a blood transfusion. And like I said, so the whole stay, I paid for a private room. So I had a TV. I never really used it. I just didn't feel like nothing. pretty much felt like I'm dying. But at least I had my private room, my own private bathroom. And so that's what the cost was on that. So it's not outrageous. And I really get the argument of people saying, I'm just going to Again, this is why I'm saying it's so difficult to make a budget on, because every person's work history might have a different medical insurance coverage. Their country that they're coming from has different medical coverages, and so on and so forth, right? So I can kind of get the argument, depending how much your medical insurance cost you, it might be advantageous for you to save the money on your own, okay? The other thing is you can buy Phil Health there as a foreigner. I don't personally know the details on it because I haven't done it, and I don't like spreading information that I don't know 100% sure on. But the gist of it is, I think you have to be there for a while. You apply for it, of course, and you pay, of course. It's not expensive, but it is very limited coverage. Again, so like I said, these are all things. If you guys know about it or have had experience with it, leave some comments in there for me. Educate me on that. But the understanding I get on it, it's better than nothing, but it's not really all that great. Okay. You can, and now I years ago I did inquire. Again, this was when I wasn't doing Getty. At that time, it was prior pandemic time, I think. Yeah, I went to Sun Life, okay, because I recognize the name. We have that here in Canada as well, and I went there to find out what their insurance would cover. Their insurance also is protected by their hospital. They'll give you a list of hospitals that when you go there and you say, "Listen, I'm a Sun Life insured," and that way you don't have to worry about paying for it out of pocket right off the bat. Okay. Pretty good coverage. They have different tiers. You can get right up to the private room, this and this, extra tests. In other words, there's something like I forget what it was because it's been several years, but I remember it being significant. Like if you need any kind of test, they pay for it, of course. Also, the first year you're paying is your basic. The second year that you pay for, it automatically kicks in for pre-existing conditions. This is another magical loophole that insurance companies like to use. So for example, you've got insurance, and if they for some reason feel, oh, you've had this illness or sickness or something from a pre-existing condition, we don't cover you. Whereas in that Sun Life package, it was included after the second year of being a paid member. So now, that one I thought was reasonable. If I'm not mistaken, it was close. If I wanted the top tier package, I think it was close to $100 a month. Okay. But that, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it broke down. Again, I hate misquoting stuff, whatever. It was definitely feasible, okay? Especially when you're getting older in the years and you may be needing a lot of care, stuff like that. It's something you can plan for the budget. It wasn't astronomical, okay? Remember that. And of course, you can bump it down. You don't need the private room and the private staff and all this kind of stuff, whatever. Well, it wasn't private staff, but you can bump certain down and just fit what's into your category. Anyway, guys, I just want to kind of clear that up a little bit because the medical thing it's a touchy situation in the sense of what works best for you. And I'm always here trying to make these videos, giving the best, broadest information but still hones in on you personally. And so it really depends on what coverage you have. The other thing is I want to touch base on as well is dental. You should set aside a little bit of money on that. Those things can be very painful and you don't want to be stuck without a little bit of funds because you might want, instead of pulling a tooth or something like that, you might be able to fix it and get a crown or a bridge or even an implant and all these kind of things. Cost effective there compared to a lot of other countries. There's good places there. I've got dental work there, and I've had an emergency filling I had to do. And when I came back to my country and stuff like that, my dentist looked at it, he goes, "Oh, because it was not on their chart. Obviously, he knew I got it somewhere else." Told him it was done in the Philippines, and they go, "Oh, it was a fantastic job. It's good." And I've had no issues since. And this is like, what is that going on now? This is going on, oh heck, 5 years, over 5 years ago, and I still have no issues with it. So, and definitely way cheaper there as well. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It's always good to have a little bit of side money for that, or be prepared for it. Get your cleanings done there. It's a lot cheaper. It's like $20 or something like that for a pretty good cleaning. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to wrap that up real quick. I just thought I'd cover that. If I'm missing something, by all means, leave it in the comments. I just wanted to touch base with this and give you a little bit of broader perspective on some of the issues that I've ran into. I was kind of surprised about the fact that you just can't leave the hospital, like pay now kind of thing or whatever, right? But these are all things, they're not over dramatic. These are just things to be self-aware of, know that they can happen. Anyway, guys, everybody take care. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Got questions, leave comments. I always try to engage with my viewers, and if you need help with something, I'll do my best to reply and help. All right, guys, everybody take care. Thanks.